All right, we're going to watch Tucker Carlson talking to Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov. I am super interested to see how this goes, because the conversation with Putin was just esoteric Russianism. Like, I don't even know if we should call it fascist, like spur. I don't know if I can say that word. If it's like weird fashy stuff, or if it's just like esoteric strangeness coming from Putin. But yeah, I want to see what Sergey Lavrov has to throw into the conversation here. What does this guy have to offer us?
Do you believe the United States and Russia are at war with each other right now?
I wouldn't say so. And in any case, this is not what we want. We would like to have normal relations with all our neighbors, of course, but generally.
Yeah, I hate these people so much, because like the idea, oh, we would love to have normal relations with everybody. You don't, though. You want to dominate everybody. You don't want to have normal relations with the United States. You with our, you with us with like cybersecurity all the time. You feed people mis and disinformation all the time. Like, you're not trying to ingratiate yourself to literally anybody. You're just a piece of shit who's clinging onto power.
With all countries on earth, especially with the great country like the United States. President Putin repeatedly expressed his respect for the American people, for the American history, for the American achievements in the world. And we don't see any reason why Russia and the United States cannot cooperate for the sake of the universe. But it is obvious that the Ukrainians would not be able to do what they're doing with long-range modern weapons without...
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to defend themselves if it wasn't for, you know, us horrible Americans. Yeah, it must really suck to know that the Americans are giving people the ability to self-defend. That must feel so bad for you. It must feel so bad for you.
That, well, don't believe that Russia has red lines. They announce their red lines. These red lines are being moved again and again and again. This is a very serious mistake. That's what
Like, are you going to use nukes? Because that's what the red line means for you guys. You guys have threatened nukes for every single thing. Every single time there's any escalation in this war, it's because Russia does something, right? Russia is not responding to Ukrainian aggression. They're not responding to U.S. or Western aggression. That's what they say that they're doing. But if you look at the timeline of how everything is played out, it has been, first, Russia does something incredibly f***ed up. Then everybody else responds, and then Russia is like, look at what these people are doing. They're escalating this conflict. They're escalating this issue. How dare they do that? It's like, at a certain point, I'm tired of the cry bullying. I'm tired of the cry bullying. You don't get to sit there and, you know, bomb another country into oblivion and then cry that, like, oh, they're doing things that are escalating the conflict. They're doing things like, bitch, what do you think you're doing? You're the one that's escalating the conflict. You're the one that's doing all this, right? And the fact that Tucker Carlson, like, traitor to the United States, Tucker Carlson is over here trying to run cover for them is just so sickening to me, dude.
I would like to say in response to this question, it is not us who started the war. Putin repeatedly said that we started...
You did. You invaded in 2014. You invaded in 2022. You've escalated every step of the way.
Basic human rights, language rights, religious rights have been exterminated by series of legislation passed by the Ukrainian.
It has never been made illegal to speak Russian. It has never been made illegal to practice Christianity. Like, every single one of these things is like not even a half-truth. It's just like a pure fictitious little, like, scum way to get around any accountability for any of the things that you are doing. The language thing is they wanted to make Ukrainian their national language. They didn't illegalize or punish anyone for speaking Russian. It was just, we're going to speak predominantly Ukrainian. We're going to make that our national language. That was the language thing. When it comes to the religion thing, there was one like archdiocese or whatever the equivalent is in Eastern Orthodox church that was like feeding information to the Kremlin through the FSB during wartime. Yeah, they banned that church that guy was operating. They didn't ban all Christianity. They didn't ban all Eastern Orthodox. They banned one church because it was feeding information to the Russians.
Russian books were thrown out of libraries and exterminated. And the latest was the...
They exterminated the books? I didn't realize that you could have like a genocide of paper of dictators and autocrats. Well, this is... This interview is set up to just create more division in the United States by making it seem like we're doing something wrong by supporting people who are friendly to us in Ukraine. That's what it's set up to do. That's what the Russians want to do. That's what their aim is. And that's what they've been doing for the past couple of years. No one in the U.S. is buying this bullshit, though. J-Mac, I'm so sorry. I don't know what world you're living in. I don't know what world. Tulsi Gabbard, okay? Tulsi Gabbard repeats all of these talking points. And she's going to be our National Intelligence Director. Tulsi Gabbard, whose former employees said that she constantly scrolls through RT and tries to talk about RT headlines with people. Yes, J-Mac, I'm sorry, but she is.
A law prohibiting canonic Orthodox Church, Ukrainian Orthodox Church, while
it was one church who was feeding like information to the FSB during wartime.
And the United Nations Charter, among other things, says that all countries must respect equality of states and the right of people for self-determination.
Ironic, because didn't you guys try to basically turn Ukraine into a puppet state after they voted to have a trade deal with the EU because that would be a better trade deal for them? And then in response for them rioting and, you know, like deposing the guy that you guys turned into your puppet, you guys invaded their country in 2 phases over 10 years? Wait, I'm sorry. Are we forgetting the fact that Ukraine did no aggressive action to you besides say, hey, actually, it's not in our economic benefit to go and do your trade union, whatever the was it a trade union or was it a customs union that Russia got to set all of the policy for, and everybody else just has to sit by and live with it. And for some reason, it's Ukraine that's the problem here. It's Ukraine that's the problem. That's violating your sovereignty. Cry me a river. Cry me a river, bro.
And they also mentioned the United Nations.
Again, why are we even critically evaluating what this mope is saying? Because he's being interviewed by like the darling of right-leaning media, Tucker Carlson, and people on the right tend to trust him despite everything. Okay? Despite everything, they seem to trust this guy. So, yeah, you're prevented from training with others unless Russia approves.
That Crimeans rejected the coup. They said, leave us alone. We don't want to.
No, you guys invaded them. You guys invaded them. You invaded them, and then you gave them no other option but to join Russia. Yeah.
And we were very sincerely interested in closing this drama by seeing Minsk agreements implemented fully.
And then everybody violated those things because the Ukrainians didn't think that you guys would honor them. You didn't. And you guys had no intention of ever honoring them because why would you? You're Russia and you can do whatever the you want, you feel like. So, yeah, I don't think that I particularly care. Especially since they were the ones that were being invaded. Again, they were the ones that were being invaded, not the other way around. Ukraine never did any aggressive action to the Ukrainian, or I'm sorry, the Ukrainians never did any aggressive action whatsoever to the Russians.
Early election.
Hold on. For context, scroll to the reaction section, go to Russia, and read the first paragraph. Okay, let's go to the reactions. Oh, ratification. Reactions. One paragraph. Russia. So the reactions to the, to which part? To the reneging on it? The president of the European Council, Herman van Rompuy, stated prior to the signing of the political provisions of the association agreement on 21st of March, signed the political provisions of the agreement 21st March 2014, stated that the agreement is a way of assuring the Ukrainian government and the Ukrainian people more comprehensive support. One of the European leaders who signed the political provisions of the agreement of 21st March and stated in a press conference that Ukrainian success will be one of the most powerful answers to Russian aggression. And then Russia. On 29th of July 2013, Russia banned the import of chocolate products made by Ukrainian company Roshan and asked Belarus and Kazakhstan to follow suit. A Russian sanitary official said the company had not met quality and safety standards. Oh my God. Wait, do we have to read this? But critics allege that the ban was meant as a warning against Ukraine associating more closely with the EU. At the time, the owner of Roshan, future president of Ukraine, Poroshenko, was seen as pro-European. On 14th of August 2013, Federal Customs Service of Russia officials began conducting more stringent inspections of cargo arriving from Ukraine than would normally be carried out. This lasted until 20th of August 2013 and was followed by statements from the Russian president's top economic advisor, Sergey Glazyev, arguing that the impact of Russia's response to Ukraine signing the agreement, including tariffs and trade checks, could lead to default, a decline in the standard of living, and political and social unrest in Ukraine, and would violate the Russian-Ukrainian Strategic Partnership and Friendship Treaty. The latter, he warned, would mean that Ukraine's statehood could not be guaranteed by Russia, which might intervene in the country at the request of pro-Russian regions.
When their culture, their language, their traditions, their religion, all this was prohibited.
Yes.
And the last point is that if we speak about the...
Also, I'm pretty sure, someone tell me if I'm wrong here, all right? Give me a source, okay? That shows that the Russian language and culture was banned at all. I'm pretty sure that they just said we're not going to prioritize Russian language over Ukrainian language. Ukrainian is going to be the official state language of Ukraine.
They fight for keeping the hegemony over the world on any country, any region, any continent.
They're so mad that they lost the Cold War, dude. They're so ass pained that they lost the Cold War. They can't deal with it. They can't handle the fact. They can't handle the fact that they were the losers. They can't handle it. It's too much for them. It bothers them every single day. Every single day it bothers the out of them that they weren't the ones that came out on top. What are your thoughts on Tucker? I think Tucker is a criminal. I think that he is someone who hates this country. Actually, you know what? Let me walk that back a little bit. What Tucker actually is a massive grifter. That's it.
We hate even to think about war with the United States, which will take nuclear.
I bet you do hate the idea of going to war with the United States, because that would be disastrous. That would be disastrous for you, wouldn't it? It would be just the absolute worst possible outcome. If you can't even beat Ukraine after 3 years of fighting, or I guess 2 years, I'm going to assume that it would probably be terrifying for you to even consider getting into some sort of armed conflict with the United States?
Clear character. Our military doctrine says that the most important thing is to avoid a nuclear war. And it was us, by the way.
And yet you're the ones that posture nuclear strikes the most. You're a criminal, you get people to buy games and don't play them. Talon, were you not here last stream when I talked about this? I was playing it last stream and I could not concentrate. I've been playing it on my off time, to be honest. But I cannot concentrate on the game that you want me to play and stream. There's too much brain power going in both ways. Would you prefer Ukraine win the war, or would you rather the war end immediately? It would be really great if the war would end immediately, but what that means is different to different people, I guess, right? Oh wait, why did I do that? This guy still needs those. Yeah, I want the war to end on conditions that are better for Ukrainians. Yeah, that's what Trump wants. I don't know. I don't think even Trump knows what Trump wants. Trump is going to do whatever sounds the best based off of who was licking his ear last. Okay. Although to be honest, I'm not even sure at this point that Trump. I think that it's a. I don't know what Trump will do. I'm not saying that Trump will like 100% abandon Ukraine. I'm saying that it's more likely that we abandon Ukraine under Trump than we would under Biden. But I don't know if Trump is going to abandon Ukraine. And I've said that the entire time. We just don't know. We just don't know.
And the deal was, well, Crimea was lost by that time because of the referendum, and
it was lost. It was lost because you guys stole it, right? Because you stole it? Because you guys are thieving. Actually, I don't know if I can even say that.
Nobody, including my...
Crimea is Russian clay since Catherine the Great. Sorry, Soy Soul. Sorry, don't give a about Catherine the Great. Don't give a about literally any of that shit. What I care more about is who had it when international borders were drawn, according to the UN. Because we've been going based off of that system for a good long while, and it seemed to be working just fine the way we were doing it. It seems like the only people that are ass mad about the way that we were doing it were the Russians, believe it or not.
Massacre in Bucha. I do, and we do. In a sense...
Because there was a massacre, and I feel like I do still hear people talk about the massacre in Bucha. Why are we pretending like people don't talk about the massacre in Bucha? Look at the Minsk agreement. All, like, which one? There were multiple Minsk agreements, and both sides were violating that shit. Like, it wasn't just the Russians, and it wasn't just the Ukrainians that were violating those agreements. It was both of them, because the Russians didn't really intend on holding to them, and the Ukrainians weren't going to like sit there and let the Russians, bomb them forever. So let me make some of these bad boys. That's what I'm talking about.
They are on the defensive several times in the...
Hold on. I don't think anyone knows who to trust anymore. That is true. Even I'm at that point. You just have to have some epistemic humility and understand that, like, at a certain point, you're not going to know literally everything. You're going to have to find people that seem to be telling the truth more often than not. When it comes to Tucker Carlson, I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw that fat. Why? Because he was literally fired from Fox News because he lied so much that he cost them like nearly $1 billion. So there's probably a good reason that they don't want him as their news anchor anymore, because he kept on lying and provably lying according to the court documents. So,
which was played all over the media outlets condemning Russia, is not of any interest to anyone. Politicians, UN officials.
Man, there's been so many Russian atrocities since. It's probably just one of those things that people don't think about anymore because it happened right at the beginning of the war, and there's been like 50 or 60 other Russian atrocities that you guys have committed. probably not like the highest priority thing for people to care about right this second. So that's probably why I would hazard to guess. Look how Russia helps Aleppo. Yeah, didn't they like basically raise Aleppo to the ground? Wasn't that place like just completely glassed basically by Russia? I appreciate it, Bradley. Jesus Christ! Wait, what the was that? Was that like... Oh shit, what are they called? When you have the... What is it? What's the kind of munition where they shoot it and it splits into like 50 million different like grenade-sized things or slightly bigger? Cluster bombs. Damn, they were cluster bombing a urban environment, dude. That's insane, dude. Is only Ukraine allowed to use those? Using them in a urban environment where there are still civilians around is markedly different than using them to clear out trenches of people who are invading your country. But, you know, good try, letting her go. I don't know if I'm like wholly against cluster bombs or anything. All right. What else do we have? We're done with this. You have to read subtitles. It took me a while to find, but it's important when people bring up Boris Johnson and peace talks in 2022. Probably a war crime. I mean, like, to drop it in a... I do know that there's a bunch of countries around the world that have a prohibition on cluster bombs. The United States is not one of those countries. But the reason that they don't like them is because there's some percentage of the cluster bombs that won't go off, and then if picked up by a civilian, can blow them the up, right? Which is obviously bad. What the problem is that I think that there are circumstances where I think cluster bombs are like a legitimate use of force, right? Like if you're out in the middle, if you're not using it in an urban environment, not using it against civilians, right? Like that's probably number one. Like the way that the Ukrainians were using them, I think that we gave it to them last year. They were using it because there were these huge trench networks that the Russians had set up, and hitting them with precision guided missiles was a waste of resources. So they just got to camp out there. But once they got the cluster munitions, they could clear out an entire section of the trenches, rush in there, and, you know, move the line forward. You know, I love making minimum wage and having a 45-year mortgage. Our generation hasn't made. We have the best prices on car notes, much better than my great-grandfather had. Listen, I know there's probably people in chat, especially on the short stream, that have never seen me before. You guys have just come across me. I'm totally fine with people disagreeing with me in chat, but if you're just being a and saying like meme stuff, I'm probably just gonna ban you. Okay? You can either actually critique something that I'm saying, or you can jump into a voice call. There's a link that should be giving the link to the Discord every once in a while, but if you haven't seen that yet, you can type in ! And then type in Discord, no space, and there it is right there. It was going to be a link that pops up. Oh, look at that. And you can jump into a voice call with me. I'm not scared of people challenging what I'm saying. I'm not scared of people, you know, saying that I'm wrong or anything like that. I had 2 conversations last stream that were relatively respectful. But yeah, like if you're just going to be in my chat, then I'm probably just going to ban you because you're clogging up my chat from me seeing other people type. So watch the 2-minute clip. Specifically in their car in the middle of like 5 o'clock traffic. Yeah, that shit's insane. Watch the 2-minute clip. I'm just going to turn it down real low and I'm going to read the subtitles. Look, Putin showed a document with the result of the Belarusian negotiations. He showed it to the African delegation. He claimed it was a written out project of peace deal with Ukraine. And this document was allegedly initiated in Istanbul. The document was called Agreement on Permanent Neutrality of Ukraine and Security Guarantees. Putin said that there were 18 articles. As he said, I'm citing, Everything was written out from armored vehicles to the size of the Ukrainian army. Why does Ukraine have to be? Why does Russia get to dictate the size of the military, who Ukraine can trade with, the size of Ukrainians' military, who they can and can't make military alliances with? Why did they're acting like they're already some kind of vassal state, dude? They're acting like they're already a vassal state and that they're just reclaiming it. No, that's not how the world works. But like, why does Russia, like, even with our neighbors, like, you can talk about spheres of influence, right? But we don't tell the Mexican army how big, or the Mexicans how big their army can be, who they can and can't trade with. Like, Mexico is trading with China right now. We probably don't like that very much, right? But we're not telling them who they can and can't trade with. The idea that these two things are the same, like, it's just large power politics, it's just not true. Russia just seeks to dominate an entire country because it feels like it's entitled to it. Everything was written out. He said it was signed by the leader of the delegation. Hold on, actually, Gas, can you link me like the Wikipedia article about this neutrality thing real quick? Zelensky is poor and doesn't receive enough aid. Actually, unironically based. He doesn't receive enough aid. We should be sending them at least $40 billion worth of attack missiles and cluster bombs every single day, unironically. Yes, why didn't he publish the document? You noticed? Why do you think? If he had a document, he would publish it, right? The goal of the Ukrainian delegation was to drag out the process. What goal had did the Russians have? The Russian delegation thought to the last moment that they can pressure us into signing such a deal, taking neutrality. That was the main thing for them. They were ready to end the war if we take neutrality like Finland a while ago. That didn't work out too well for them, did it? Now Finland's part of NATO. And that we give an obligation not to join NATO. Factually, this was the key point. The rest was cosmetic and political additions. Like about denazification, Russian-speaking population, and blah, blah, blah. Why did Ukraine not agree to this point? First, to accept this, we would need to change our constitution. Our NATO aspiration is written in the constitution. Really? Secondly, there was not enough trust to the Russians that they will fulfill everything. This we could only have done with security guarantees. We couldn't cite something, walk away, and everyone would relax, sign something. And later, they would move in better prepared. They would move in, and we would not be prepared for this. We could only sign it if we were 100% sure that it would not repeat itself. True. And we don't have such certainty. Also, when we returned from Istanbul, Boris Johnson came to Kyiv and said that we will not sign anything with them and let's just make war. Wait, what?
Такої впевненості немає. Більш того, коли ми повернулися з Стамбулу, приїхав Борис Джонсон до Києва і сказав, що ми взагалі не будемо з ними нічого підписувати. І давайте будемо просто воювати.
Zelensky is an Israeli citizen? Is that even true? Zelensky height. Funny. Am I having a stroke? Israeli citizenship. I don't know what this... I'm not sure if I trust that at face value. Dual citizenship is technically illegal in Ukraine, but is widely tolerated in practice. So they're talking about, and he is not a citizen of Israel. Listen, if you have a link, you can post it in my Discord, or you can link it in Twitch chat. Unfortunately, YouTube does not allow people to post links. Otherwise, I would tell you to post a link in YouTube chat. Do your own research. Lazy. Well, I just looked it up. You can see on the screen that I'm looking this up right now, but like I'm not seeing anything that shows that Zelensky has dual citizenship, except for this Atlantic Council. Okay, it's a think tank. Okay, maybe it's not a bad source. Let's look. This one. No, even this isn't saying, wait, hold on. This doesn't even say that he has dual citizenship. Interesting. You're a slow reader? Well, I wasn't reading out loud. I was skimming the article for like any mention of Israel, but we're not going to finish the Tucker Carlson thing because there's not any more sections of it that I'm like particularly interested in listening to. It's super long. Mine's obviously Bradley. Nice to meet you. Tanky? Wait, who's talking about tankies? Oh, about neutrality. Ukraine's declaration of sovereignty, adopted by Parliament in 1990, declared it had the intention of becoming a permanently neutral state that does not participate in military blocs and adheres to 3 nuclear-free principles. However, in December 2014, Ukraine's parliament voted to end its neutral status, and in 2018, it voted to enshrine the goal of NATO membership in the Constitution. Huh, interesting. Tucker Carlson is CIA, fact. So is that asshole? I don't know who Vanderbilt is, but Tucker Carlson is just a grifter. If he was CIA, he's doing the worst possible job of, propping up the United States possible. Okay. What else do we have here?